Hello everyone, this is Josh, aka the Biscuit Eater, and I wanted to thank you all for joining me on the 21st episode of my long-form Let's Play of The Outer Worlds. Now, if you're new to the series, I am doing what you would call a bad ending playthrough of the game with a dumb, rude, corporate shill of a man named Bob who is likely going to betray all the good folks of Halcyon. If this is your first time with the series, thank you very much for joining. You can find a link to the playlist in the description down below. Otherwise, sit back and relax. In our previous episode, we finally betrayed Phineas by putting a tracker in his lab comms unit, angered at least one of our companions by doing so, and finally made our way down to Monarch, where we met our final companion, Nyoka. Today, we check out the city we landed in, pick up as many side quests as we possibly can, and then head out into the savage wilds of Monarch proper, where a certain member of the wildlife is bound to utterly destroy my melee-focused butt. But, with all that said, remember that nothing quite solves a crewmate disagreement as well as intimidation. And with that said, let's cue the intro.
All I need is me, myself, and I. Sometimes I wish I was somebody else. I was somebody else. I go my own way. Don't care what you say.
Alrighty folks, thank you very much for coming back, and now we're going to go ahead and continue with our exploration of the city proper before we go out to the main area. We want to make sure that we pick up just about every special quest that we could possibly. I think we've already been here. Yeah, we've already been in here. This is where we got, or found the dead body. Got that quest. Just want to make sure that we talk to every possible person. Wasn't there a gal asking for help over here? No, was it not at this entrance? We may have to do a little backtracking since we kind of ignored people last time around. Okay, yes. Nope. No, you're not the one who asked for help. I'm doing a little bit of backtracking here. Okay, we got an openable door here. What are we? Well, this layout sure looks familiar, that's for sure. Well, again, still anything not nailed down or being watched over. I think that's an important distinction that I forgot previously. Okay, we're good there. We'll grab you. What are you? Energy cells, okay. Alright. There's another door here. Oh, hello. Resident. Who are you, Neil?
Ooh, you're the new face. Wow, you must be up on all the latest tossball games. So who do you follow? Wait, don't tell me. You look like a Hammersmith Thunder fan. No, Glacial Age Mammoths.
I play for Auntie Cleo's Darlings. Don't you recognize me?
I'd heard they'd gotten a new hacker. Is that why everyone's making such a fuss about you? But what are you doing on Monarch?
Coach said I needed practice hitting things. There's lots of things to hit on Monarch, right?
That's for sure. Just mind you, don't let them hit you back. So, what can I do for you?
I found this bedding slip in a dead man's apartment. Any idea what might have happened to him?
Poor Isaac. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few days. I'd really like to help. Isaac was a sweet fellow, even if he did have terrible teeth.
What do his teeth have to do with anything?
They were pretty distinct. Monarch doesn't exactly have a thriving dental industry, and Isaac seemed to get stuck in all sorts of bad
Pardon me.
habits, dietary and otherwise. Sometimes he'd drink purpleberry punch by the liter, other times he'd keep betting on a losing team. Started owing the wrong people money.
I don't think there's a right person to owe money to.
Ain't that the truth? But Elijah and his buddies are mean, and they'd been pushing Isaac around. They're hooligans from Fallbrook. They sweep into town, drop supplies off behind the warehouse, and spend the rest of their stay getting rowdy over tossball games. They usually loiter in the alley behind the yacht club. They're not allowed in the bar anymore. I bet you anything Isaac ran into trouble with one of them.
I'll make them pay.
Good. Someone's gotta. Mr. Sanjar will be pleased to hear about it when you're done. I know he gets fed up with the Fallbrook bullies, but there's not much he can do. If it isn't the famous hacker, enjoying Stellar Bay.
Pardon me, folks.
What can I do for you?
You said you were having trouble receiving the tossball game transmission?
Graham's always filling the airwaves with this propaganda, like it's done him any good. All it means is the tossball games get to us in fragments. Makes them real hard to watch.
Okay. Okay, can't really steal from here, so we'll just move on. Ooh, what's up here? I see a terminal. Monarch Stellar Industries. Saltuna of the Deep. It's like music for the soul. Monarch Stellar Industries. This terminal's use is restricted to authorized medical engineers. Unauthorized use will warrant action from your site safety engineer. Employee login. Create new account. Why not? Error. Account setup requires a persistent connection to the central communications tower. Connection offline. Alright, so we'll hack it. Alright. Patient records. Why not? Please enter the name of the patient whose records you want to view. Nioka. Error. Patient not found. Please try again. Nioka. Patient not found. Bob. Patient not found. Data storage. Please enter the data of the employee whose file you want to view. E. Williams. Notes. Reactivism and pep you up. I had hypothesized that this combination might awaken my mind instances to the greater realities around us. If that is true, then it seems my faculties were quite overwhelmed in this instance. Shortly after the dosage, I experienced cold sweats, tremors, and mild paranoia. It's perhaps due to the later effects that most of my notes from this episode are of little use. Nevertheless, the effects were most invigorating. I will have to attempt a milder dosage once heart palpitations subside. Bushberry extract plus debilirol. After my previous experiments, I theorized that deadening the external senses might allow the mind's eye to glimpse the eternal. Alas, I was only partially successful. The combination of substances quickly rendered me both blind and feeble, so much so that I soon fell into a stupor. I awoke some hours later in a pile of my own sick and a most curious craving for Tyleritos. Note. Lurine, triple dosage. Searching, file empty. Edwards, A. Work in progress. 23,629 words. Stellar Bride. She's a wide-eyed colonist from Earth. He's a hard-working Saltuna farmer from Monarch. Their attraction blossoms into a whirlwind romance that transforms Stellar Bay. Chapter 3. A long way from Arkansas. You can put your things here, Mr. Elliot said, leading Abby into a dim apartment. The place was small, but it had a certain cozy charm. Abby set her bags on the floor and loosened the straps of her jumpsuit. Mr. Elliot coughed, his face suddenly red. If you get warm, you can always crack the window. Breeze from the bay is real nice. Just be careful about mantis worms. As Abby went to take the room key, her fingers brushed his. He had strong, rough hands, a Saltuna farmer's hands. She felt herself blush. You've been ever so kind to me, Mr. Elliot. Call me Archibald, he said. Steamy. Work in progress number 2, 15,886 words. The Passion Broker, a renegade iconoclast driven by his ideals, finds love in the arms of a mysterious man with a tortured past. Will he follow his head or his heart? Tall, dark, and handsome. Chapter 2. Come on up, said the voice on the comm. It was dangerous and smooth in the way that reminded Broderick of iceberg-aged whiskey. The door slid open with a whisper of perfumed air. The hair rose along the nape of his neck, and he proceeded up the stairs. The broker sat with his back to a top-of-the-line, mostly charcoal, personal heater, slender fingers tinted. So this was the mysterious recluse who manipulated Monarch from afar. Broderick could feel the warmth of the heater from across the room, but it was a look in the broker's eyes that had him feeling feverish. The broker produced a pair of glasses and a bottle of something that looked expensive. He poured it off and held one of the glasses out to Broderick. For me? He asked, trying to ignore the man's smoldering gaze. Indeed, the broker purred. I hear you're a man of bold tastes. Broderick took his glass. The broker continued, dark hair falling over darker eyes. That's why I've got a rare proposition for you. The glass nearly slipped from Broderick's fingers. He drank it in one gulp to hide the tremor in his hand. It burned all the way down. And then, work in progress number 3. 146,307 words. Clinic of the Heart. Oh, goodness gracious. A battle-hardened young Earth Directorate soldier visits the remote clinic on Monarch to heal his injuries. But when he meets Gale, an elegant older nurse, she goes to work on his heart as well. Chapter 34. Healing Touch. Fletcher held her tightly. His strength had returned, that much was clear. Yet here he remained, at the clinic, with her. He shook his head as if he'd read her mind with his perfect green eyes. Gale, the Earth Directorate's calling me back. They want me protecting Byzantium. But I don't know how to leave, not after what we've found together. Then stay, she whispered, letting her breath warm his ear. I can certainly find a position for you here. Oh, laws, he moaned, pulling her closer. She pressed a finger to his lips. Shh. The only law here is love. Oh, that was dumb. Okay, so return to root and nothing else. Okay, and nothing else. So nothing really all that great in here. Steal whatever you are. Steal whatever you are. Caffeinoid. We got Nyoka's caffeinoids. So I guess this must be the doctor's office.
Velma's capable of running the warehouse. She can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard on her. With Brack's missing, she's working doubles and needs a little edge.
Very well, dearie. But you stop by any time you like. Hmm?
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. Sorry, I've got to get back to the warehouse.
Okay, nothing to steal there. Okay. Well, hello, Abigail.
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember.
Oh dear, flirt.
Quite the bedside manner, lady.
Well, it's so rare I get the pleasure of new company. What can Auntie Abigail do for you?
Who's Velma?
She works over at the fishery next door. Quite the hard worker, but she's got a bit of a temper.
Nothing wrong with a little passion.
No disagreement there, dearie. But Velma can be a little prickly. Oh, but here I go again, running my mouth when it's none of my business. Was there something else you needed?
Are you in charge of handing out medication?
Yes, indeed. Someone's got to keep Stellar Bay's people healthy and energized.
You certainly seem excited about your job.
Oh, but I am. I get to see plenty of my neighbors here, and I do dearly love a little gossip. Yes, indeed. You certainly seem like you could use a pep you up, dearie.
Well, so I don't need to try to get it from her since I just stole it from her. Doo-doo-doo. Running away now. Okay, you're just a resident.
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
She's always cranky.
No, I mean more than usual.
Wouldn't know. I made it a point to stay out of her way.
Okay, I remember those guys were talking earlier. Were talking about being on strike, so.
You're a lifesaver. Hope Abigail didn't give you a hard time.
Just the usual. Any word on Braxton?
Nothing. Don't know how much longer I can cover for him either. Give me those pills, will you?
Here you go. You know, you might consider a real night's sleep instead.
Well, that's who we need to talk to then.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such a hurry.
Catherine says she'll shove you in a box if you keep running your yap like that.
Did she now? Well, I can see I was mistaken. Because if Catherine really had sent you, there'd be a lot more expletives in your message. I hope you can forgive my temper. This job has been running me ragged lately. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief pescatological health manager is missing.
You should probably see a doctor about that.
That's what Braxton is. He's our fish doctor.
Come on, that's like calling a dentist a doctor.
He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours. Comes with living in a free colony, I guess.
So find him and drag him out by his ears.
I would if I weren't busy here picking up his slack. Since you don't seem to be constrained yourself, maybe you could check up on him. He lives in the apartments. Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra jugs he's been taking from supply. Something else on your mind?
Who's this Catherine you mentioned when I first came in here?
Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay. Has a mouth like a ground six spacer.
Let's talk about Caleb.
Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say.
Why can't you give him his pay increase?
I don't have the bits for it, plain and simple. Besides, if I make an exception for him, I gotta do the same for everyone.
She's principled, in at least this area. I will begrudgingly give her that.
Thank you. I think. If Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire sublight contractors at this rate.
I know you're taking a percentage off the top. What would people say to that if I told them?
Same thing as me. Where's your proof? Because I know no one's been poking around my terminal lately.
Are you absolutely sure of that, Ms. Ballard?
Just as a hypothetical. Nothing to see on my terminal, of course. Because I've done nothing wrong.
Are you willing to meet Caleb halfway?
For running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life.
Someone's going to notice your shortfalls before long. You're going to be held responsible.
Maybe so. But I bet you Caleb runs out of bits first. Then he'll have to come back. He says he's got a stash to tide his crew over. Could be he's all talk. But if the money's real, I bet you he keeps it at home. Near the diner.
Let's talk about something
Fine
else.
by me.
You said Braxton had been stealing drugs?
Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton's shifts.
Why didn't you turn him in?
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get this all tuna, fat and mostly tumor-free.
Okay. Let's see. Let's repair some stuff here real quick. While we're near our workbench, just make sure everything is all nice and... Okay.
Hey,
Sure, that leads outside. Yeah, we'll go that way in a moment. First, let's do a little bit of reconnoiter. All workers. Alright, let's sell some stuff, because we've got a bunch of junk. Okay. Anything special here that we absolutely must have? No. Rid of the extras. Alright. And do you have anything that might be useful to me? Not really. Oh, we've got a... It's the lobby. We will check out the lobby soon enough. But first... see what's upstairs. Like a certain someone's terminal.
Great work.
Okay, personal files. Please enter authorization code to access personal files. Mash random keys. No, we're not going to... Well, let's do it. Password incorrect. Please try again. Hack 5 bypass. Please enter the name of the employee whose files you want to view. Be hacked. Braxton Hex files are filled with Saltuna breeding charts, various pharmacological formula, and using some why Saltuna seem to prefer borscht and beans over plain borschtwurst. V. Ballard. Velma's personal files are a morass of supply contracts, order forms, spreadsheets, and financial records. Careful study of her financials reveals that for the past several years she has been slowly siphoning money from her operating budget into a personal account. The theft is cleverly hidden. Individual instances could be excused as rounding errors or mistakes in simple arithmetic. The sheer volume of occurrences, however, indicates deliberate intent. Turn to root. Messages. 2. Be hacked. The fish tank and tank 23A are looking a little lumpy. If you're not going to make it in, that's fine, but you have to let me know so I can stay on top of the doses. 2. Mr. Nandi, we really need to talk about the Saltuna situation. I've had to let 4 batches rot in the warehouse over the last 2 months because we're not finding buyers. I know this situation with the board puts us in a tough spot, but we need to start thinking about how we're going to keep Stellar Bay afloat if we can't get sales up. Be hacked. Seriously, where are you? You've missed 3 shifts. This is getting ridiculous even for you. Okay, so we have our proof now. Ah, the other side of the... Okay. And this is going outside. We're going to go around back. But first, let's talk to our... Let's see if we can talk to them.
Wouldn't mind smelling like salt tuna if we could sell more of it.
Alright, let's go outside. Yeah, worker.
Take a hint.
Well then. Bloody note. Sublate contractor. That would be a quest item. Crumpled note found on a corpse in Stellar Bay. Most of the text in this note is obscured by blood, but you can make out the words Lilia and passcode Antediluvian. Stellar Bay ruins. We don't need to go to any ruins quite yet. So do we talk to her?
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my...
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go find their stash first. And then we'll give them the... Oh, looks at some point we picked up the hospital poster. Alright, so... yeah, let's see if we can find his apartment. Still want to find that gal who asked for help that we kind of ignored. But yeah, see if we can get his stash first. Resident. Okay, that's where the big boss lives. Okay, and that's the yacht club. Okay, we've kind of gone full circle at this point.
In case I did not impress it upon you before.
So, Vicky. Can I call you Vicky?
Absolutely fucking not.
For a vicar, you sure curse an awful fucking lot.
Look who's talking.
I'm not a fucking priest.
And thank the architect for that.
Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong. Like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak.
It's more dissolving than melting.
That is not helpful.
Calm down, take a deep breath, and then tell me what happened.
Don't you tell me to calm down. I promised my boy I'd protect him for always. But how can I keep him safe if he's run away? He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the raptidons, mantisaurs, and marauders, the toxic sulfur pools, and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen. Please, won't you go and find my boy?
Did you say there was reward involved with this request?
Well, I guess I can't ask you to leave the town walls for free. It is deathly dangerous out there. I've got some bits saved up for a rainy day. I'll give you every last one if you just bring my Tucker back to me. I won't even be mad at him running off. You tell him I won't be mad.
Why would Tucker run away?
He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there. I warned him. A raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers. He should have listened to his mama. I promised I'd keep him safe here with me.
Where would he have gone?
He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No. And now I just know my boy's run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a manta queen hasn't spooled out and eaten his entrails for breakfast already.
Where is Amber Heights?
That old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay. I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with the nutty iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak.
You've got way too active imagination, lady.
Or maybe marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby.
What were you saying about the iconoclasts?
Those low-life degenerates, leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting. Like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good. How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who listened. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head.
I'll help you find your son.
Thank you. Oh, I know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home. You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Psycho.
Max, you're always going on about destiny. What did your mother do?
If you must know, my late mother was a laborer, Dr. Finham.
And your father?
The same.
And you ended up a preacher how?
The universe works in mysterious ways. Where there is a deficit, it seeks to provide an abundance. Say a church is attacked by marauders and sustains casualties. The replacement clergy must arise from somewhere.
See if we can get around over there, because... I did not do that jump well at all.
You're an artist, Captain.
They didn't even see me, so I got his stash now. Woohoo! So the question is, do I give him the info to blackmailer? Which probably won't sit too well with the board. To go to Velma and give her the stash. I'm going to see what happens if I take this information to Sanjay. We haven't met Sanjay yet, but we will. Let's see if we can actually turn it into the corp dude.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir.
What do you think you're doing? All right, move along.
Sanjay's to-do list. Review guidelines for annual self-review. Select font for annual self-review. Format annual self-review. Schedule time to write annual self-review. Write annual self-review. Tell Celia she's doing an excellent job. So we've got Celia and Sanjay. Sanjar. Sorry, Sanjar. Celia, let's talk to you first.
Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
What was that exchange about? You having money trouble?
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
Do you normally blow your money on Raptidon parts?
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth,
Or a mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really.
He should give you free bags at least.
Oh, I don't mind. I usually buy things one at a time. Gives me more chances to talk to him. He's sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
Just ask him on a date.
I couldn't. What if he says no? Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, I know it would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
Wait, I'm curious. What do you see in Sebastian?
He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Kind of like you, actually. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
Good to have standards, I guess.
I know what I'm looking for.
You really want to be with someone you can't talk to?
You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny.
There are other fish in the sea, Celia.
Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like salt tuna or they're my boss. Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate upper to lower body ratio isn't something to pass up.
That's all I need to know.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
Boy.
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
I guess I'll wait till you're done with your meeting then.
And a sense of humor, too. Did you hear that, Celia?
I heard it, sir.
But I'm sure you didn't come here to trade witticisms. No, you're here for business.
I'm just looking for the information broker.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna.
If I have to eat one more weird science project passed off as food in this sprat colony, I'm going to stab someone.
Yes, that's it. Channel your anger. I only wish I could do the same.
I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but
it seems we're back to the drawing board.
Why? What exactly are you hoping to accomplish?
Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
And you're tired of scrounging and scraping by, is that it?
Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
What?
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
So what do you mean to do about it?
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
This lady knows what's going on.
It's true. Our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
How long did it take you to figure that you needed to defend the city?
Not long, but the devil is always in the details. And The salient detail here is a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
This Bolt 52 sounds useful. What is it?
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Never realized fighting the bureaucracy could be this interesting.
It is quite the rush.
Once you have the Bolt 52, what's the other part of your plan?
I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. These days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
I apologize if that's coming up over the speaker, folks, or the mic, rather. I do have someone outside who is mowing their lawn, and it appears to be coming over pretty loudly. So again, I apologize for any background noise. Anyways, let's continue. Perception. Why are you saying it that way?
Saying what? Which way?
Arms. You're saying arms instead of arms.
That's just what it's called. It's supposed to stand for something, but I forget what.
I am sure I'll know it when I find it.
Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Before I go, I need to ask you about something.
What can I do for you?
How do I get to Devil's Peak?
You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek. But if you insist on going, I'd recommend taking a local guide. Nyoka would be a prime candidate.
If you can keep her sober.
I met Grim, the landing pad guard.
I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
That guy is a world-class moron.
He's not the brightest of minds, but he makes up for it with enthusiasm.
That's not what I would call it.
Still, I had him posted on the landing pad in hopes that he'd stay out of everyone's way. I'll see about additional training.
I have questions about MSI in the good old days.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
How did MSI get kicked off the board in the first place?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
Do you mean that you initiated your own removal from the board?
Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. Back then, it was known as Terra 1.
What happened to the other corporations?
As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
But not MSI, right?
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
How forward-thinking of you.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
I take it your leadership didn't embrace your ideas.
No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else.
Guess you missed the transport?
Many of us chose to stay behind. And as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI.
Must have pissed off some real big suits to get stuck with that.
On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
You should have known you couldn't oppose them.
But we weren't trying to. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules. and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
What's the hazard clause?
It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
A necessary evil for the greater good of society.
That's exactly how the board describes it.
Seems like a sensible restriction, actually.
I'm all for reasonable regulations, but the board hasn't demonstrated the kind of peril that justifies cordoning off an entire planet. Much as I hate to say it, the board's leadership can be incredibly short-sighted at times.
Why exactly do you want back on the board?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
If you can't beat him, might as well join him and reach into their pockets.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
They've treated you pretty roughly. Is it worth going back to that?
I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Just be careful, the board doesn't mess around.
Oh, believe me, I've learned that much. But I'm also not going to leave MSI at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. What can I do for you?
Okay. So I can't turn them in. Q data. A summary report on conditions within Stellar Bay. Productivity has continued to improve since relaxing MSI's old restrictions and making allowances for employee benefits such as time off for illness and personal leave, 24.9% reductions in shift length, and 52.3% more positive feedback. Fishery output is up 15.2% this year, showing continuing but slowing growth trend. Decreased gains compared to previous years are likely due to the deterioration of materials and morale, occasionally shortfalls in our supplies, and the gradual loss of personnel to marauders, 7.2%, hostile wildlife, 10.3%, and iconoclast recruitment, 17.4%. Reconciliation with the board remains a long-term goal, but the immediate concern is defending the city from hostile elements. Repairing damage to the city walls consumes approximately 32.8% of our annual budget. The best solution would be an influx of skilled defenders and weaponry, but given the aforementioned factors and their effects on the local population, such a solution remains unlikely. Working slogans. MSI, our profit margins are stellar. MSI Saltuna, 43.28% more nutrient-dense than the leading brands. Stellar Bay, a tolerable center of commerce in a hostile and chaotic gallery. Oy. Okay, nothing else in there. Let's see about in here. That goes outside. Okay, that's it. So, yeah. Oh. It's because it... So, again... Oh, okay, we got your Cavanoid. Let's get you.
Ah, the charmer. Welcome back. Drink, chat, or business? All of the above?
I've got your magic pills. These things are dangerous, you know.
Says someone who's never had any fun.
Exactly. See, I'm glad someone on your crew's got some sensible, got her head on straight. Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go.
That was fast. I gotta see about stocking some on the ship.
You be careful. The first one's free. After that, they'll offer you gainful employment.
Glad to have you.
Great. Where to?
Let's find the information broker.
Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age. He's running the giant radio tower we lovingly call Devil's Peak. We'll be going south and west, mostly along the road till we're past Fallbrook. Out there, there's a western slope that'll lead us through some fun. You like hunting, right? That's fun. If you're more of a spelunker, Rotting River will take you into the mountain caverns. We can discuss options when we get closer. That said, 3's already a crowd. I don't mind waiting somewhere until you got a spot open.
Vicar Max, wait on the ship. We need Nyoka's help for now.
Long as you've got my back, I'll have yours. Welcome to the unreliable crew.
Ooh!
I don't know what the game's like on Terra 2, but out here, the daintier weapons ain't gonna cut it. Manosaurs require stopping power.
Yeah, but what's left after you're done with them?
Alright, so. Again, the decision was made that, was it Intimidate that I needed for him? Or was it Inspiration? You know what? I may actually go check on that. But first, let's go ahead and... Excuse me.
I shipped with a Merc who had a gun like yours, Nyoka. He polished it, sang to it, slept with it. Not like that, as far as I know.
Sounds like he had himself a discerning palate. Where are you going with this?
He couldn't hit the broadside of an assault cruiser, hence the tin shredder.
Wouldn't be the first man I met bearing compensation for his lack of skill.
Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell, and revel with us?
We need to talk about Velma.
Sure thing. What did you want to discuss?
Sandra's going to fire Velma if you don't return to work.
I never meant to call for anyone's head on a pike. Velma's not my favorite person, but she ain't been cruel to us. Devil it all. Now you got me feeling sorry for her. Fine. I guess we'll go back to work to save Velma's job. We'll find a better time to negotiate our wages. Tell Velma not to worry. We'll look out for her. Why don't you grab a chair? Me and the others agreed to return without any increased pay, did we not? So I'm thinking there ain't much else.
Well then. Let's go talk to Velma so we can actually check out what's in that storage room.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
We spat in your spirits, Velma.
You noticed my mood? I'm surprised you can see straight today.
I could be seeing triple and I'd still think you're being unkind. I just might find it funnier.
Will you try wrangling half a ton of dead fish with decades-old equipment and see what it does for your disposition? Anyway, what do you folks need?
Let's talk about Caleb.
Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say.
I told him you were about to lose your job. He said he'd come back.
Well, that's awful nice of him. Sure wouldn't have expected that. Thanks for your help. You've gotten me out of a tight spot here. Take this for your efforts. Honest work deserves honest pay. Something else on your mind? Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton shifts.
Awfully nice of you not to say anything.
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough.
Okay. So that takes care of that one. Let's see. Seamless steel rat. Okay. Yep. Investigate Elijah and his gang. Let's go investigate this gang and get them taken care of. They're probably going to attack me, which I'm perfectly fine with.
I hear those rich people in Byzantium pay a handsome bit for wrap musk.
Bet they also pay to make it stink less.
Supposedly, it makes you more attractive for, you know.
Trust me, no one's going near you like this.
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other colonies.
Uh-huh.
Think they're watching the same serials, following the same tossball games?
Mm-hmm.
You're not listening to a word, are you?
Look, my back aches and everything smells like fish. I just want to enjoy my beer.
Okay, so I'm not getting around this way, so...
If I never smell another raft, it'll be too soon.
Weren't you a sawbones? Figured you ought to have smelled worse.
Sure, but those things reek like bad cologne. It's different.
I'm with you there. At least humans have the courtesy to wait a while before their bodies start to stink.
Most of them.
Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Sebastian, you ever get your hands on those pheromone sacs? Manipillars ain't gonna hunt themselves, you know.
I must have hunted a dozen, but I couldn't find a single sack on any of them. Must be looking in the wrong place.
Manipillars ain't got pheromone sacs. I just told him that so he'd stop asking me for advice.
At least I'm getting a good haul of claws in the process. You're in good hands, traveling with Monarch's top merc. Still, if you want any rat glands or manticlaws, I've got you covered.
Why would I want any of that?
I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Picket seemed real interested. So I thought maybe I was onto something.
Mr. Picket?
He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Mantiqueens, especially.
I kept telling him he was a fool for chasing Mantiqueen tail. Anyone looking to get familiar with a queen is liable to become the bitch's supper.
Oh my. Well, I hope he's all right. Haven't seen him in a while.
Why was he interested in Mantiqueens?
Who wouldn't be?
Okay, but did he say anything more specific?
He kept talking about collecting a queen to take back to Terra 2. Didn't make no kind of sense to me. Mantiqueens won't let you collect them.
Have you seen a Mantiqueen?
Sure. They're real big. Hard to miss them.
Where have you seen a Mantiqueen?
Well, I could send you to the same place I sent Mr. Picket. But I haven't seen him in a few weeks. To tell true, I'm starting to get a bit worried about him. Tell you what, I'll tell you where I sent Mr. Picket if you promise to look for him. Help him out if he's got himself in trouble. Fair deal?
Sure, I can keep an eye out for him.
All right then. Leave town through the southern gate, the one right here, and head past the abandoned ruins.
Past the ruins? That's Manta territory, all right. My professional opinion is that we leave that idiot to his well-deserved fate.
Last Mantiqueen I saw was in the wilds out that-a-ways. Could be Mr. Picket still out there, too.
Let's talk about Celia.
Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff.
She likes you.
Nice of you to say. I like her, too.
She's interested in you, romantically.
Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount, hmm? Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for raptidon tongues.
Don't take my word for it. Spend some time with her. I promise she won't ask for a discount.
You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice. Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's.
Who the fuck are you? This ain't your alley. As you were.
Beat it.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is our secret alley. Berta already pissed by those crates to market.
I know you murdered Isaac.
Listen, that purple-toothed twerp had it coming. Not that anyone has proof. And not that it's any of your business.
I'm making it my business.
Oh yeah? What are you saying exactly?
You've bullied people long enough. If you know what's good for you, you'll clear out and never come back.
Wow. Most of the pencil pushers around here cave as soon as you look at them funny. Fine, we're going. This ain't worth it.
Alright, let's go talk to Sanjay.
You grew up in Byzantium, right?
Don't rub it in.
Oh, don't get all prickly. I just haven't met someone who left the high life on purpose.
I'm from there, but I'm not really from there, if you follow.
And yes, I know I need to level up, but I want to go to the ship first. But let's talk to Sanjay Sanjar real quick. Keep calling him Sanjay. Sanjar.
Well, I see you've had a sobering effect on our friend Nyoka.
Sir, please stop.
Forgive me, Celia. I couldn't help myself. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Isaac Rose is dead. I found the people who killed him.
But that's terrible. What happened?
It was Elijah and his hooligan friends. I ran them out of town.
I'm glad to hear you've dealt with them. They've been causing quite a bit of trouble around town. I've been consumed with other matters of late, but I would have dealt with them. Eventually.
Of course you would have.
Of course I would have. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services.
I gotta go. Alright, let's go back to the ship real quick, because I want to check on our angry friend.
If you stop in the engine room, would you ask Parvati to send Sam down to the bridge?
We're gonna go upstairs. Let's check the room. Haven't been here for a while. See what new stuff. Antibiotics. Secret lab. Fun. We've got a couple new things in here. Get that for turning him in, I bet. We'll check all the rooms for all the various collectibles real quick, but faded air fresheners, lemony fresh. Sam Sud Steeper. Sparkling in this unit's middle is his unit's middle name. A steeper designed to kill germs rather than people. Unlocks Queen Sweep for Sam. Bag of moldy sweetheart cakes. Rock hard and slightly discolored, these moldy Rizzo sweetheart cakes are decades beyond their no more refunds after this date. I think all this we've already looked at before. It's all stuff we've looked at before. And now Nyoka lives here. So we can steal this from her. Raptidon must. Potent, earthy, one whiff of this, and a Raptidon will tear through 6 inches of armor just to get to you. Hoi. There, got all your booze.
What do you need?
Got a question for you.
Hey, you're the boss.
You're still upset. If you got a problem, talk to me.
I don't know how we're ever gonna see eye to eye, as long as you're working for the board. Why? You got a ship. You got the run of the colony. So tell me why you're bending a knee in front of the adjutant.
Okay, so it's determination or inspiration that I need.
Hey, you're the boss.
Alright, that tells me what I need to... Okay, so yes, I do need to bump that up, and we'll do inspiration. Because that'll get us a little bit closer. Alright. You know what? I think that brings us to a point where we are good to go and end out this episode for the time being. We'll get ourselves set up for our next episode. But while we do so, again, let's go ahead and wrap things up. As always, if you like what I'm doing here, please do me a favor and help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Like or dislike the video, click the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you know when new videos come up, and leave me a comment or some constructive criticism in the comments section below. I try to answer each and every comment that I get. And if you find that notifications aren't coming through YouTube, do remember that I send notices about all my video uploads via my Twitter at BiscuitEaterYT. And again, I do appreciate you coming along on this journey with me. I hope that this is as much fun for you as it is for me. But until we meet again, game on, lovelies.